Okay. All right. Welcome, you guys, to the content calendar creation training. This is such an important topic, and it's something that I am so passionate about. So, what we are here to do is to create 4 weeks of authentic and emotionally connected content. And obviously, you're not going to write all your posts and things like that as we sit here, because that would probably take quite some time. But what my goal is two things. Number one, to teach you how to frame out your entire calendar week by week, and to give you some topics that you can work off of now and going forward. So the pattern that I have developed here isn't necessarily set in stone. It's not something that can never be changed, but it is something that you can duplicate over and over again. So take some notes here and just know that this is a really good way to create your content going forward. And just again, for some housekeeping, I'm just going to ask that everyone stay muted during the call so that there's no distraction and interruption for the people who are watching in the replay. So let's dive in. So first of all, a lot of you on here are my clients, whether you subscribe to my content or you're in my marketing intensive or in my mastermind. But essentially, Authentic Conversion was created to help fitness professionals build stronger relationships so that they are better able to expand their audience, expand their reach, build deeper connections with their clients, and convert more abundantly. So there's really three components of the business. The first is done for you content. So I actually write, and many of you on here subscribe to my content. It's 10 pieces of highly connected, highly engaging content. Most of you have probably seen some of my shared swipe files as well that are meant to be sent out to your list, put on your blog, and put on your social media every month. There's a newsletter and a quarterly lead magnet as well. So that's kind of the first part. The second part is the 90-day marketing intensive, where you can see below, I show you how to create your authentic marketing strategy that creates deep connection for more powerful relationships and increased conversions. And then I have a mastermind, which is a higher level of all things growth related, and it's super awesome. And some of my mastermind people are on here as well. So that's kind of what the business is. It's very marketing and growth focused, but in a way that I believe is really powerful and really important and very different from what you're seeing in a lot of the fitness marketing realm today, which is mostly going to be around Facebook ad campaigns. And so it occurred to me that I didn't do an intro slide here because I feel like so many of you know me, but I do have quite a lot of experience in the fitness industry, from starting as a personal trainer to managing the fitness department of an Equinox to starting and selling my own boot camp. I've been doing business coaching and consulting for almost 5 years. I've had an online weight loss coaching business, and I love what I do. I love this industry, and I love helping business owners grow. So I think you're in good hands. Just my opinion, but I think so. So why is authentic content important? I'm going to tell you some things that you may or may not already know. I think everyone would agree that the fitness space is incredibly loud. And I can look back to 2012 when I had my fitness business, and I mean, it changed. So I sold it in 2015. In those couple of years alone, the fitness space totally changed. When I started the business, there were no Facebook ads, really. I mean, maybe there were. Actually, let me just double check, make sure everyone's muted. Okay. Maybe there were, but it wasn't like this widespread thing. And so you had to go about growing your business before digital marketing was what it was today. I never did things like Google ads, even though that was around. But what you had to do was build relationships. And I did that online and in person. And I mean, I showed up everywhere when I had my gym. I was swinging kettlebells in the middle of the mall. I was going to skincare parties I didn't want to be at because I was building connections. I was going to all kinds of networking groups. I was doing a lot of public speaking. And then as social media became more popular for business, I got really good at leveraging that. I got really good at leveraging my email list, but it was all in the name of building these powerful connections. And if you've been in business for for, particularly more than 3 years, that the game has changed in this industry, that it is more competitive than it has ever been, whether you have a brick and mortar or an online business. And you truly have to be the best at building relationships, both with your clients and with people who don't even know you yet. And believe it or not, you can build relationships with someone that you have never had a conversation with. And part of that comes down to creating a very strong and constant digital presence so that you stay top of mind, so that when people are ready to take action, you're the one they think of, so that when they are ready to, or when they want to refer a client, or maybe a friend of theirs is talking about losing weight and they say, oh, you know what, I keep seeing this girl, Caitlin, pop up, right? And so it can happen in so many ways, and it ends up kind of being like a snowball that you can't quite put your finger on sometimes, like how people found you. But I promise you, you have got to stay very present and very consistent online in your relationship building, because better relationships equal better retention and more referrals. So some of this is going to happen in person, some of this is going to happen online, some of it's with your clients, some of it's with your future clients and your past clients. And the more content you put out and the more you show up, the more you show yourself as the expert. So if you kind of think of your top competitors right now, how much content are they putting out? Some people are going to be doing a lot. Some people aren't going to be doing any and wondering why they're not growing. But what I believe is the key is putting out content that really builds the relationship again, right? And I'm going to talk just a little bit more about that in a second. And putting out this content, again, it builds the know, like, and trust factor. So for those of you who are using my content subscription service, I guarantee that they would all agree that they feel more like the expert. People are responding to that content that's been created for them, and they are getting better results, more people engaging, more people sharing because of that. And so you just really need to be consistent with this. And where I think a lot of fitness professionals go wrong is, number one, sharing generic content, right? So we think that people care about workouts and that they care about recipes and hydration and all of those things. And it's not a bad idea to sprinkle in some of those things. But if what you're sharing is primarily this kind of generic content, you're going to struggle to get engagement. And you've got to really meet people where they are. You've got to speak to them in a way that matters to them, because, unless you're training athletes, in many cases, the people that you are serving are afraid of the gym, right? Like, they actually don't want what you have. They don't want to go work out. They don't want to sweat. They don't want to change the way that they eat and all of their habits. And so you're selling them something that they don't want, right? And that is kind of an obstacle to overcome. So if you're just pushing more of what they don't want at them, workouts and recipes, again, those types of things, which are very common, you're not going to get a whole lot of traction, okay? So that's kind of the third point. Not making time. That is precisely why I created the Authentic Conversion Done For You content, because in my years of coaching literally hundreds of fitness business owners, I am a writer. I have been since I was 15. It's what I'm one of the very few things that I think I'm pretty good at in the world. And I love it. And I always did it for my gym, and I always shared my writing with other fitness professionals. And I thought, well, let's fill that gap, right? Like, let's make a business out of this and really serve people in a way that is beneficial to them. So you've got to make the time to do this. It's very, very important. And then not sharing consistently. So a lot of the time what I'll see is people show up and then they stop, and then they show up and then they stop, and then suddenly 3 months have gone by and they haven't shown up. And how you show up in one arena of your life or your business is how people will perceive you show up in every arena of life or your business. And if you're seen as consistent, reliable, trustworthy, engaging, that's a lot better than sporadic and inconsistent. So just remember that when you're talking about content. And the reality is, I'm in a very expensive high-end mastermind with a small group of women who are in coaching. And we spend a lot of time talking about content and social media and that kind of thing. And it's just so important that you get this right. And I always tell people, I've now grown a multi-six-figure business essentially off Facebook and Instagram. So, and that's not to brag. It's just goes to show what's possible. And that's all within less than a year, by the way. It just goes to show what's possible when you are consistent and when you're putting out the right stuff that really does connect. Okay, so let's keep moving here. The reality is that you have to do this to be better than all of your competition. You just have to. You have to do this to stand out. You can't sit quietly. You can't be passive with your marketing, not in the loud space that you are competing in today. Okay. So places to post content. So these are really the primary places that you'll use, right? Social media. The power of social media and the reach that we have is just remarkable. So if you're like, well, I hate social media, I don't think any of you are thinking that on this call, but you better learn to love it for your business because it's incredibly powerful. Email marketing is not dead at all. And typically you'll bring people into your email list from your social media. That's a big way to do it. On your blog or your vlog, if you prefer to do more videos, either one is fine. And then one thing that I recommend is looking at strategic partners. Now, that would be other businesses that you are aligned with. So let's say you have a gym and you're aligned with a chiropractor, right? So maybe the chiropractor is sharing your content either on their social media, to their email list, in their newsletter. That is a really good opportunity to go viral. But the thing is when you post really good and engaging content, your clients are going to really share it for you. So that's kind of a cool thing. Okay, so a couple of different things to focus on and where. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of feedback totally based on my experience. Now, if you have success in other realms, you are more than welcome to utilize those as well. So typically what you're going to see is either written or video content. There's a statistic that by next year, like by 2019, that over 90% of content that is consumed online is video-based content. So if you're not doing videos, particularly like Facebook Live videos, which I'll talk more about, you're missing the boat. Facebook Live videos get typically 6 to 7 times the viewership of a pre-recorded video and a post. Just organically, your reach is going to be greater, and Facebook likes when you use its features, and live is a really powerful feature. So if you're not doing that yet, I'm going to encourage you to open your mind to that. And if you do written posts, most of the time, I'm going to caveat this with most of the time, and I'll talk about where it's a little bit different. I want you to include an image. With my done for you content, I do include images. I do not like stock images. I will never use like the generic image of, someone lifting a weight. There are websites that have beautiful free images that you can use, but you are going to have much better results if you use images of your happy clients, right? Not of them dying and sweating and working out. I mean, there is always a place for that, but really like them looking cared for and engaged and happy and excited and that kind of thing. And depending on what type of coaching business you have, if you guys follow me, which you all do because you're here, I post a lot of personal images. And I just want to talk about that for a second because it feels extremely vain. When I started doing this last year, I was really hesitant, right? So I was really hesitant to use a lot of personal images. And I will tell you, I did a lot of experimentation. So I would take images of me versus images of, I do a lot of hiking. So, I take pictures in the mountains and I have a lot of beautiful images that I've taken. I post pictures of my dogs and things like that. But any posts that had an image of me would get far more engagement than anything else, right? I think you'll have success with images of clients. My business is 100% remote, so I don't really quite have the same type of access to those types of images as those of you with in-person businesses, but I'm just telling you that's why I do it, and that's why you should consider it as well. it feels vain. I totally get it, but watch the difference in engagement. I guarantee you. One of my, she's probably going to be watching this later. One of my previous marketing intensive clients, she experienced it for herself. She did the same exact post, one with a non-image of her. I don't remember. I think it was like an image of a sign or something like that. And I think it got like 1 or 2 or 3 likes at the most. She did the exact same post with an image of her and it got over 100 plus lots of comments and engagement. It's just a really good example. So do consider that. The primary places that I think are important for most of you are going to be Facebook and Instagram. If you have a big YouTube following, feel free to utilize it. LinkedIn is the same, particularly with those of you who, with like kind of a higher end clientele. Maybe you have a high end online coaching business, that type of thing. That can be really good. I'm not a LinkedIn expert, but Facebook and Instagram are going to be best. Instagram is really good for different types of engagement. It's quick. Stories are really good. I'll talk a little bit more about stories here. It is important, I think, for you to be on Instagram if you are in the fitness industry. But where I really think is the most important for you to be is on Facebook. And I will say for a couple of reasons, right? So unless you have just a very young demographic, most of your clients are going to be on Facebook. There's over 1 billion people on Facebook. So I don't want anyone to tell me that their clients aren't on there. Because they are. I can promise you that. Even if they don't engage all the time, they are on there. And the viral capabilities of Facebook are far greater than Instagram. So let's say you do a public post, right? So it's on a public setting. It's not just visible to your friends, and you tag a handful of your clients in it. Well, guess what? It's going to show up on their timelines. Their friends are going to see it. They're going to be much more likely to comment on it. And then every time someone comments or you comment on a post or a video or something like that, what happens is that post gets recycled in the news feed. And so it's visible over and over and over again versus, let's say, Instagram, for example, where it's visible initially, right? In the algorithm, it's maybe at the top of the feed or somewhere in the feed, but it's not going to be recycled like that. And let's say you go live on Instagram. That's really only like very visible for 24 hours. So it's not a very long period of time. I'm not saying don't utilize Instagram. I'm just saying Facebook has, Calvin's clients are on MySpace, everybody. I have no advice for you. That's funny, Nicole. Yes. So, that just made me laugh. Sorry, threw me off. So yeah, Facebook is definitely going to be your best bet for wider reach and for your kind of general population. So Calvin's the class clown for those of you who don't know him. He's awesome. Follow him on Facebook. Okay. So let's keep moving. So again, focusing on posts for sure, just like I talked about. When I do the done for you content, I have people really, I mean, aside from like greetings and salutations and things that sound like they're in an email, you just kind of remove that stuff. I have people send, and I do this as well, the same posts that they would post like on Facebook with an image to their email list, right? But these are good areas to focus on: lives, stories, and posts in general. And I do cross post as well. So if I share content with my email list, I will almost always post it on Facebook and Instagram also. And don't be afraid to repurpose your content. So just because you have a written piece of content doesn't mean you can't talk about the exact same thing on a live video. So I was talking with a client earlier today about repurposing. It is very effective. So these are the types of posts that I want to talk about. And some of them you're not going to really understand what they are, but I will explain. So live videos, again, are going to be one of the best things that you do for your business. I think all of you got this email, maybe, unless you're brand new to my list, like in the last couple of days. But I shared an email with my list the other day, just kind of telling my story. And I launched Authentic Conversion in January of this year, but in December, I created essentially 2 swipe files, and that's just content that I would give out to other fitness professionals to use for their businesses, because that was in support of, where my business was going. And I did 2 live videos. I did, and probably some posts, I don't quite remember, but this was at the end of December last year. One live video, I talked about my free 5-day nutrition reset that I was giving to Fit Pros to run with their audiences. And the other, I'd written some swipe file content for Christmas and New Year's emails. And I did a live video offering each of those to fitness professionals and got my first 100 emails that way. And that is ultimately how my business started. And that is the power of live video. Okay. I'll talk about what truth posts are. I'll talk about engagement posts, client success stories, and social proof. This is a huge thing. And I'll go a little bit more into detail, but you can kind of imagine what that is. You want to also be addressing the pain points, questions, and desires of your soulmate client. So I talk a lot in my marketing intensive about the idea of a soulmate client. So it's this person who you are put on this earth to serve. It's the person that only you can truly help facilitate their transformation. And you need to understand who they are and what they're feeling in order to deeply connect with them. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And there's just a lot of storytelling components throughout here that you're going to see really pop up. So I am hoping that, okay, my phone just started ringing and sometimes it kicks me off of my computer. It's been doing weird things. Okay, so hopefully that's all good. So what you want to always do is include some type of call to action. And I'll talk more about this at the end, but this is something, honestly, I will be perfectly upfront, I have been guilty of. I can really be forgetful about doing calls to action, but you have to tell people what you want them to do next. So you're going to give your content and then you're going to give a call to action. And like I said, I'll circle back to that. Okay, so here's where we get into the meat of things. We're going to determine your topics for the month. When you are putting together your content, I want you to always keep your soulmate client in mind. Who is he or she? What is he or she experiencing? What are their goals? What are their fears? What are their desires? What experiences have they had in the past? Okay, but you need to speak to them as a prospect before they've said yes to working with you and yes to themselves. So I just want to give you an example. Like, you need to really be conscious of what they need to hear in that moment. So in my boot camp, we focused primarily on kettlebell training, and it was really cool because most of my clients were women in their 50s, some in their 40s, some in their 60s, but mostly women in their 50s who had been on every diet. They never liked working out. They never had any goals really around getting strong. They came to me to lose weight. Well, you know, as they get involved and they see how cool strength is, they're like, they love lifting, right? I kept having to order more and more heavy kettlebells for 50, 60-year-old women, and it was so cool. But I wouldn't talk about that when I'm trying to reach new people. I would meet them where they are. I would talk about how they failed in the past. I would talk about what it is that they desire, how they're going to transform. So you have to remember that this content really needs to speak to people as if they are a prospect, because your soulmate client, even if they've been working with you for years, still relates to this. They remember where they were. Okay. And it's really important to speak your truth. And there's one of the days of the week, this is kind of how I split it up, was by day of the week, is about getting you to really speak your truth. And so I'll talk more about that here in a second. Okay. Here's where we do the work. And you guys are going to have to give me feedback in the chat because I have no idea how long this is going to take you. Some people it's going to take a little bit longer. Some people it's not going to take quite as long, but I want to just kind of mute myself and be silent as you guys work. And then as you finish up, just start posting in the chat, and then I'll know we can kind of move on to the next thing. So, but I'm going to explain what each of these things are. Okay. So every Monday for your 4 weeks, you're going to make a post, a video, whatever you want to do, and not on all 4 things. You're going to pick one thing each week, okay? So we're building 4 weeks of content. So starting Monday and for the next 4 Mondays, what is something that your ideal client, your soulmate client, needs to believe to say yes to working with you? So let me go through some examples. I mentioned earlier in the fitness marketing space, a lot of what you guys are probably being targeted with are companies who essentially run some type of Facebook ad campaign for growth, right? Well, I teach organic and free marketing strategies. So in order for that to work, my soulmate clients and prospects need to believe that they don't need Facebook ads for a multi-6-figure business. They need to believe that they don't need a big email list and running Facebook ads to grow their list and that kind of thing. They need to believe they don't need a fancy website. They need to believe they don't need a large social following, because I've been able to do all of this stuff, right? So you can grow free and organically without running ads, without a large email list, without a website, and without a big social following. So that's what I need for people to believe, in many cases, for them to say yes to working with me. Let's say you coach fat loss, right? Maybe you need your clients to believe that they shouldn't count calories, because that's really in support of your philosophy, and it's different from what your competitors are marketing. Maybe they need to believe that cardio is killing their fat loss. So if you're a kettlebell gym, for example, that's something that would be good for people to believe, because it's very strength-based, right? They may need to believe something about sleep if that's in your philosophy. Maybe they need to believe that self-care is a non-negotiable. So look at your business, look at your philosophy, look at your offerings, and I want you to come up with 4 things, 4 topics about what your clients or your prospects need to believe to say yes to working with you and to say yes to themselves. And I'm going to put myself on mute, and if you're thinking through this and you have questions, just pop them in the chat and then I'll unmute myself and answer. And don't forget to let me start knowing when you're done. Right. Some of you are finishing up. I'm going to give it another minute at least here. By the way, I have no idea how fast or slow people are going to be. So it's a little bit of an experiment. I don't want to rush people though. And if you have questions, if you're stuck, let me know. Awesome. Nicole, Michelle, Tom, Julie, Jean, Tasha. Good, good, good. Okay, we're finishing. Hey, Desiree and Sean, Mary. Good to have all of you. You guys are all my favorite. Okay, good, Caitlin. Awesome. No, Jean, we would probably be here all day. You can always share with me. Hey, Mackenzie, good to have you. And Zach, Jose. Okay, sweet. Hey, John. So awesome. I love connecting with all of you guys. I'm so happy right now. Okay. And it's Friday afternoon. Doesn't get better than that. Okay. And it's going to be 60 degrees here this weekend. Very excited. Okay. Perfect. Okay. This is our Monday topic. And again, you go live on video. And if it's something that you feel particularly passionate about, I'm going to encourage you to do video. Sorry, Blake and John, all you Canadians, and New Yorkers. Sorry. Okay. I know. Everyone's like getting hammered. Yeah. Michelle, last time I saw you in person, it was a blizzard in PA. Okay. So, no questions, it looks like. Okay, so let's keep moving here. So Tuesdays, I want you to draw some lines in the sand. Okay. What are two things? So you can alternate. You can do two things you stand for. You can do two things you're against. It doesn't matter. 2 and 2 is 4, right? So that's 4 weeks. 4 Tuesdays. What are two things that you absolutely stand for and two things that you absolutely stand against? Again, look at the philosophy of your business. So I personally stand against relying on Facebook ads to grow your business. Doesn't mean it can't work, right? But that's not the only strategy. A lot of you are going to stand for strength, like something strength related, just because I know a lot of you guys. What do you stand against? Call it out, right? So in some of the done for you content I've done more recently, just based on conversations I've had with clients, like people are very sick of supplement-based weight loss plans and someone signing up to distribute supplements, and then suddenly they're a quote unquote coach, right? When you guys have all put in years of work to becoming coaches. Big thing when I had my gym was the HCG diet, where you eat 500 calories a day, can't work out and get injections. So I was pretty against that. And don't be afraid to ruffle some feathers. You really have to do that in order to be different, in order to stand out, and in order to really deeply and powerfully resonate with the right people. And it's okay if you make some people upset. I just want to encourage you to be really clear and very powerful in the things that you stand for and against. So go ahead and jot that down. So Jean is asking if this would be for live content. It can be a live video, which is my preference over a recorded video, but some of you are going to be like, there's no way I'm doing live, and I'm not coaching you right now. So you're going to do a pre-recorded. That's okay. And then it can also be for a written post. It's really however you're most comfortable. I like to do a combination of written posts and live videos. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the end, structurally, what that can look like. So again, if it's something you feel like really passionate about and your energy is going to be really good, video is always great. And then again, just let me know when you guys start to finish up. And one thing I do want to say for this one in particular, and maybe some of the other ones as well, don't go sciencey on people. Keep it really layman's. So typically when you're doing copywriting, the Facebook ads manager that I do consult with, he always says that if his 8-year-old can't read it and understand it, it's too advanced. So you want to kind of keep that in mind. You really want to write to like a 5th grade reading level, or speak to like a 5th grade reading level. So unfortunately, no one's probably going to be super impressed by all your scientific knowledge. So just tell people why it matters if that's where you're going with any of this. Right, people finishing up here. That's good. You know what you stand for and against. Give everyone just another minute. Not everyone's finished. And sometimes, so you're going to have a really easy idea coming up, hopefully, with the topics this time, right? So if you choose to continue this pattern in your planning going forward, um, consider like, consider using things that, so I'm like a big inspired action person. I'm not a pre-planner. I can have some structure, but I need to take inspired action, and oftentimes that comes out in my content and the way that I operate my business. But so really pay attention to conversations you're having with clients or friends. Pay attention to posts that you're seeing and the commentary in those posts, because you have all of your messaging, all of your language gold just in front of you if you really start to pay attention. So, you know, you may not even be thinking about something right now for something you stand against, but you're on your, let's say, your Facebook feed, and you're scrolling through, or Instagram, and you see an ad and it's just something that you're like, that's awful. Why would anyone believe that? Well, that's a great thing to add to your list of things to talk about if you can say something intelligent and create a lesson out of it. So, right, you guys, so fast. I am going to distribute this recording just in case anyone is a little behind. Okay. Let's move to Wednesdays. Okay, so truth posts, and I'm going to give you some examples. This is probably the one that you are going to, number one, I recommend doing truth posts as long copy text, okay? And so I'll give you an example, and typically with a photo of you. Yeah, Mackenzie, I can totally share the slides. That's not an issue at all. So I call them, and I make up terminology all the time. So, so hopefully this makes sense. But a truth post is a vulnerability thing, right? And so some of the posts that I've actually pulled clients in off of have been my truth posts. And you want to have struggles that are related to things that your clients can relate to, right? So I'll show you an example here in a second. That maybe you can relate to their struggles with time management, with falling on and off the wagon, with weight, right? With battling food addictions, cravings, depression, anxiety, with dreading your own workouts, with not feeling good enough, with a lack of confidence, right? So you share those struggles, and then essentially at the end, you tie a bow on it with a lesson, right? So you kind of share your own struggle and then share a lesson. And so I'll just kind of show you one of mine. And one of the things I'm really passionate about is, again, building connection. It's authenticity. It's helping people draw lines in the sand and speak their truth. And so this was, I just copied and pasted. I didn't do a screenshot because it wasn't going to fit, but it was a photo of me, and this was the text, okay? And so just to kind of give you an example of one thing I'm going to talk about a little bit later, so I know like my clients really struggle with some of this vulnerability and authenticity stuff. So this is my share on owning your own truth. So it's kind of fitting here. But the call to action at the end is what I would call an engagement based call to action. So I wasn't trying to like get them to click a link or anything like that. I'm asking them to engage with me and really relate to me. So that's one type of call to action that I'm going to talk about at the end. But you can kind of just see an example of that in this post. So I'm going to go back to the other slide just because I think it'll be more helpful. But what are 4 truths that you can share? And let me know when you're done. And by the way, if this makes you uncomfortable, that's good. It should. It's not like, you're showing what a rock star you are at meal prep, right? This is stuff people can really relate to though. And they're very relieved when you share your truth. Well, Zach, you have content for a year then. And you can repeat this every week. I know, I can do this all day too. And by the way, a truth post isn't meant to be a whiny story about like, woe is me. I've posted some things where I was like, oh, I hope people don't perceive it that way, but they don't. I've never had that response. It's usually, it's usually way more, you know, gratitude and that kind of thing. But yeah, every Wednesday shouldn't be your own sob story. It needs to have a lesson with it. Awesome. Michelle, Caitlin, cool. I'm going to stay quiet here for a sec, let you guys think. Let's see. Yeah, Desiree, I think that's fine. You can definitely play with that a little bit. I'd have to, I guess, know a little bit more specifically what you're thinking, but I think it can work. And you can always make it a lesson about something else, right? Like I could talk about the fact that, you know, I've been training consistently lifting weights for more than a decade. And most of the time I still don't want to go to the gym and how that shows up in my business, right? So you can always find a line to draw for that lesson. Yeah. Expressing your own weaknesses, I think I think it's actually really important as a fitness professional. And my clients always loved the fact that I was my preference would be to eat bread, cheese, and candy, and to lay on my couch. I mean, and read a book, right? Like that would be my preference. Those are not the choices that I ever make, really, like in the long term. But I was always really transparent with that because it's a lesson, right? It's a lesson that you do have a choice, right? I would rather eat bread, cheese, and candy than vegetables, right? Like probably many of you, if it were up to you, but it's a choice that we make. And it's a really powerful lesson that you can share with people. Yeah, preference versus choices. Totally, Sean, that is great. I love vegetables too, but if you put bread and cheese or vegetables in front of me and I can only have one, there's a very obvious choice. But I think that's just one example. So maybe Desiree, that helps you. Okay, it looks like a lot of you guys are done. Awesome. I'm glad this is helpful. Yeah, because I mean, truthfully, if you're not transparent about that kind of stuff, it makes you less relatable because in fitness, your people look at you and they think that your favorite thing is vegetables and sweat, you know, like that's literally what they perceive. They think that anyone who goes into fitness or, you know, even if you're slightly out of the fitness industry, like anyone who goes into that, it's like the thing that they love and that they're the best at. But you know, being vulnerable, it puts you in a better position. It actually positions you more as the expert because, you know, it's not necessarily easy for you and it makes you a better role model essentially for them. Okay, I'm going to move on. So Thursdays, Now, I'm going to say for Thanksgiving, those of you who have my content have a Thanksgiving post. So be flexible this week, as you probably are on every holiday. But typically Thursdays, this will kind of give you a bonus day of content. One thing I want you to do is to consider answering their big questions, right? So it's not like generic stuff, right? Like really knowing your soulmate client, listening to the people that you are having consultations with. Again, paying attention to discussions that are happening on your newsfeed in groups, looking and seeing what's most Googled, right? Understanding what their big questions are. And part of it can be like very practical, like is keto the best diet? Does intermittent fasting work? Should I take ketones? Should I spend more time on the elliptical? And then other things can be really more emotional, right? So can I stick with this? Am I going to fail again? And addressing those questions. So part of it is going to be giving your opinion, right? And your philosophy on something like keto. In other circumstances, you're going to talk about sticking with it and, why this time can be different, and, whatever your philosophy is there. So there's no right or wrong. You can go 100% logical, practical with this, or you can go into the emotional side of things as well. But what are their big questions? So, Jean, you're writing what you think or what you know their questions are. Yeah. Because yours and theirs are going to be a lot different considering you are the expert. Calvin, got your messages, and I'm going to send the slides out as well. Oh, totally. Yes, Michelle. Michelle's asking if it's okay if it's seasonal, because remember, I'm giving you potentially a framework to be used year round, right? So maybe every Thursday for a year, you're posting or doing a video about a major question, right? So yeah, totally. So maybe actually that's a great point. On Thursday, it's Thanksgiving, maybe you do a little video about what's the best way to make the most of the day or maximize the day or something like that. And you talk about, working out and how to put food on your plate and how to eat and all of that stuff. Yeah, that's great. 100%. Michelle, you're so good at lives. And your posts are awesome. You're hilarious. Cool. Okay. You're not babbling, I promise. I feel like that too. Sometimes I watch my videos back and I'm like, what'd you talk about? We all feel that way. You can totally hire your wife for your lives. Yeah, if you feel like you're rambling and babbling, two things. Number one, you're probably not, and it's probably not quite perceived that way by people watching. And number two, you can always write out bullet points. So sometimes I share, when I do live videos, I'll do something more philosophical or like about mindset or sharing a story or something like that. But if I'm actually doing some teaching points, I always bullet point them out. Desiree, it certainly wouldn't hurt you both to do it. I don't think you necessarily have to. I mean, if you want to be the face of the video, Dave can share, to his page and then share to the business. And I'll talk about, how to use these videos here. Yes, Tasha makes a joke when she rambles. Yep. No one knows, by the way. Awesome. Okay. Looks like you guys are finishing up. Perfect. All right. This is totally not going to take us 2 hours. And I hope that you are encouraged by that. I'm actually really excited because this is showing you, and I talked, by the way, for almost the first 30 minutes, how easy it is to frame out 4 weeks of content, because we'll be done way sooner than 2 hours. And most of this has been me talking. So, okay. This one is something that is a little bit more of a challenge. So I'm going to let this be flexible. And I kind of want to, I want to gear it toward the 5-minute interview, but I'm going to give you an alternative as well, which is not on here, but I'll give you an alternative. Okay. So 5-minute client interview. So you do this on a Facebook Live. Ideally, if you can't go live, pre-record, it'll still work. And I want you to do an interview with a client for around 5 minutes. Okay. So the 3 things to address are the before, during, and after. So what was life like for you before joining / why did you join? What changes have you noticed, or what do they love about working with you? And how is life different now? Okay. So how are things different? So this isn't really anything to pre-plan, but I want to put this on your radar because I've been having a lot of clients do it and it's working extremely well. Some of the little tricks here, which I'll talk about, I think I put it later in the presentation. I certainly meant to. I'm pretty sure it's there, but it's to tag the client, do it from your personal profile, tag the client, make sure the setting on your video is public, not just to your friends, so that their friends can see it as well. Check into your business and just make it just a nice short interview. So if anybody has questions about this, please let me know. And if for some reason you can't do this in person, you can 100% do it virtually, right? So you could pre-record it on Zoom. You can do a live with a guest, right? So you can add a person to your live remotely. So if you have an online business, you are not out for this. And if for some reason this doesn't work out, I just want you to share like a personal story or lesson that you learned that week. Or share a book you're reading and why you like it and how it applies to your life. Just share something that's personal. I really want you to focus on the interview piece. And by the way, you can also expand this a little bit. I know this one's a little bit more vague, but you could expand it and have a video about, a video where maybe you do a group class or training session or something like that. And you just turn on the video and, everyone says their favorite exercise or their favorite part about that workout or something that's just really highly engaging, where it's not necessarily just you and you can kind of tag other people. Okay, let me look at the comments here. Yeah, when you check into your business on the live, for people, so Tasha, and you're doing this publicly, right? So people who, let's say your friend comments on the video and then, their friend on the other side of the world sees it and they look at you, but they can also check out the business page as well. So I just think it helps people understand like who you are and where you're from. So that's why. Can we share what others have shared with us? Yes, totally. Jose, this is great. So Jose is in my marketing intensive and he's done his soulmate client research. And so he's got like marketing gold because that's part of what we do. And yeah, you can absolutely share that feedback and those testimonials 100%. Caitlin, 100% fine to mix it up. 100% fine. Let's see. Yeah, Michelle, same thing. I just pick days for you guys. You can mix it up anytime you want. Yeah. And this is, again, there's no like, this is not a scientific structure for conversion. I just know that these things work. So if you wanted to do one interview a day, I'm not going to say don't do it. You know what I mean? Okay. Awesome, Tom. I'm so glad. Is it better to have a live interview on live? Yes, that's the only way you can do it. Jose, great to post it. I would, you could do either actually, Jose, like the post that you shared in my group the other day was it was like really hard to read. So I would, manipulate that somehow if you were going to share that in particular as a post. But yeah, if it's like, a screenshot. So again, those of you who are in my marketing intensive and have done your purpose videos as well and gotten a bunch of testimonials, you can totally screenshot those also and use those. Let's see. Would it show both you and the client in the video? Yes, ideally. So Calvin, and Facebook went through a little phase. Some of you, I mentioned this too. I don't think it's going to affect any of us right now anyway, and I don't even know if it'll do that going forward. But personal page just gets more traction, and you can always share to the business. I think the statistic right now on business pages is you will get anywhere on average from a 1% to 3% organic reach. So literally, if you post from your business page, it's probably a little higher with a live, but probably not much. If you post from your business page and you have 1,000 followers, only like 10, 20, maybe 30 are going to see it. So that's the average statistic. Yes. Yeah, Michelle, you can totally, I'm so the same way. That's why I've had problems like following different, morning routine structures and that kind of thing, because I'm such a rule follower that you can totally mix up the days. Yes. I don't think the client needs to prepare their answers. I don't think this is a big deal for most people. I think you just ask them, why did you decide to join me? What changes have you noticed? Like this is their story, so they're going to know. I would ask them maybe ahead of time, particularly with women. They're funny. They'll show up with like a little extra makeup or something to their session. I do off the cuff. If it's somebody who's like, oh, well, I need to prepare, then that's obviously okay too. But I'm totally an off the cuff type person. Okay. Lots of questions on this one. Any others? Calvin, for you, I'm just kind of thinking like business page may work because you do have a little bit more traction, but for most people, including myself, personal profile, share to the business page is what I would recommend. Okay, everyone, the questions have stopped. So we'll keep moving. Okay, so hopefully you thought of maybe 4 clients just to get you started, okay? This one's easy. This one takes like no time at all. So Saturdays, and again, I don't care if you do Saturdays on Monday. I'm just trying to give you some ideas here. Engagement posts. So this is simply asking questions. People love to give their opinion. So I'm going to let you decide how far into this you want to go. So you can keep it 100% related to like things that you talk about in your business, but things that are going to stir up your soulmate client. And by stir up, I don't mean agitate. I mean like get them to respond, right? So what's been the worst dieting experience ever? What form of exercise do you love most? What's your favorite recipe? Those types of things. You could, these are just examples. There's no right or wrong here. You could like, okay, so let's say there's, I would keep religion and politics out of this, but let's say, I don't know, none of you are like Orange Theory franchise owners, and I know that some of you are against that model. So I'll just kind of use that. So maybe you talk about like, I don't know, you ask like, has anyone ever gone to a large training place where you get yelled at by coaches, and what was your experience? Like, I don't know. I haven't been to an Orange Theory, so I don't know exactly what it's like, but that's what I've heard. So, you can get responses that are positive, that are negative. There's no right or wrong. I just want your soulmate client to care about these things. So come up with 4 questions that would be engaging. Try not to be too generic, like all the time. Like recipe stuff is like kind of fun and friendly every now and then, but I would rather it be something that people really care about. Maybe like, what's the worst diet product you've ever tried? I used to take that, I totally forgot about this. I saw someone post something about it the other day, like that Hydroxycut stuff in high school. It always like gave me like cramps in my ribs. But, some of those weird things that were not banned in the 90s. So yeah, you can think about it. Let's see. This one, Julie, I would ask on your personal page also, but you can copy and paste all of this stuff to your business page. So yeah, both is even better. Are we just asking the question or also giving a personal response and experience? So actually, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. I would just ask the question and I would do a background. So you guys know how you can do a background on the post. When you do that, again, it's kind of like Facebook Live. It's using one of their features. So Facebook likes it. It also looks more like an image versus just a text post, and people engage more with images. So when you go to, if you've never used the background before, when it pops up to make a post, you're going to see these little squares of color underneath. It's right there when you go to make a post. And there's a bunch of options and you can click on them and see what it looks like, but it basically turns your text into a photo. Tasha did the Hydroxycut. You were a teenager in the 90s when? Okay. Yeah. And Caitlin, sometimes for that type of post, I'll just do like, you could do something like my answers in the first comment, or you could just post your answer in the comment, or you don't have to share your answer and you can just respond as you go. Either way. It can be non-fitness related. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you can make it funny, like, where's your favorite burger? Parentheses, cause Fit Pros love burgers too, or something like that. You'll find if you're all business all the time, unless you're just really exceptional at it and you're not personable and you're not relatable, you won't get a whole lot of engagement. So it's good to mix it up. But as you can see here, the way that I'm teaching you to post and the things that I'm telling you to talk about are all business, but they're also, well, mostly business, but also very personal. So it's a kind of that perfect combination. Okay, looks like, I don't know if you guys are done, but I think so. Those of you I can see look like you're kind of done. Are you guys done? Am I going too fast? Okay. All right, cool. Last one. Okay. So Sundays, I like to do something positive, right? So I shared gratitude, share a story, something inspirational. You can really keep it related to your business. So this is one of the posts I did recently. I got so much engagement. It was just a picture of me that I took that morning. It was a selfie. And I just listed the things that I was feeling grateful for that day and asked what others were feeling grateful for. And I got tons of comments, both on Facebook and on Instagram. I shared both to those. But this, you can see, is related to my work as well. So I'm waking up in a beautiful place, which means location freedom, right? That's one of the things that I stand for. I don't have to go to quote unquote work. A lot of you guys are probably working with me because you want more free time or you want to be able to work from wherever. Seeing a variety of videos and posts from my clients. I'm actually referring to my clients and my business. And then heading into a new learning opportunity. So I value learning. I know most people who follow me and in the fitness industry value that also. Okay. So, and then I ask an engagement-based call to action question there at the end. So it's some type of gratitude share story. You could talk about something you read, I mean, like an article or something like that, and how you would respond, or you saw someone begging for money outside the grocery store and you did this like kind gesture, and you can talk about that. I mean, there's so many different things you could talk about. You could talk about your personal values, just anything really positive. But you can see, I picked this example in particular because you can see how it's still all related to my business. Does that make sense? This one should be kind of quick. Some of the, like, I kind of feel like for this one, you're not going to really necessarily pre-plan, but maybe there's, you can do a gratitude list, this Sunday. Maybe you can do, maybe there's like, just hearing me talk, maybe there's a story that's jumping out to you, something like that. So go ahead and just write down a couple of ideas maybe that are popping into your mind. All right. Would you advise that I post a picture of our trainer in specific that I focus on? Yeah, Mackenzie, you may have to just consider things slightly differently since you are not the business owner, but yes. Or get them to like give you a selfie. So Mackenzie, potentially you're going to utilize the business page a little bit more than others. I don't know if you're friends with a bunch of your clients, if your profile is public. So just kind of consider those things. And I would ask Mark also to share a lot of your stuff. Both, Jose. So you can see here, like I shared the things I was grateful for and then asked others what they were grateful for. But you could share, let's say you went and had coffee and you gave the barista a really big tip or something, and you could share that story. You could be like, it's not to brag. It's not to say, oh, look at me. It's just to say like generosity is one of my really strong core values as a person. What are some of your top values? That's just kind of another example. But we always want to invite people to engage with us. So that's going to be the next topic of conversation. I can't remember. Okay. I'm going to move to the next one. Hopefully, am I going too fast? You guys done? Okay. All right. So calls to action. What do you want people to do next? And I said in the beginning, I am very guilty of forgetting to do a call to action. Like for a while, I'm getting better at it, but for a while I had to actually have like a sticky note next to my computer that said call to action. because I would always forget, right? Because we get so excited. We get excited sharing and delivering value and that kind of thing. And we can forget that we've kind of got to be the guide and help people along the process. So you have to tell people what the next thing you want them to do is, right? Do you want them to engage with you by commenting, by sharing? Like, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to send you a direct message for something? Do you want them to click a link? Let's talk about that. So just a little FYI on links. I would not put links in the text of your description for your post. If you're going to share a link, it needs to go at least in the comments. Now, and here's why. So 2 things. Facebook does not want you using your personal profile for your business. Obviously, we all do it. Second thing is Facebook doesn't like, and I'm talking specifically about Facebook here. Instagram drives me crazy with the fact that you can only have one link and it's in your bio. But so I'm just going to talk about Facebook. They don't like when you redirect away from Facebook. So their algorithm detects when there's a link in the description, and it will push you'll get less visibility. Fun times is that their algorithm, from what I have learned, also has started to detect a link in the first comments. So what I have done, hold on, let me see what my questions are here. What I have done, oh yes, that's right. I always forget about Linktree. I haven't used it. It's a really good point, Tasha. Really, really good. I still hate the fact that you can't link in a photo. I hate that, because a lot of the time what you'll see, like when you're doing call to action to register for a workshop or a webinar or something, I want that link in the photo and it drives me crazy. So yes, but I always forget about Linktree because I don't use it. Yes. Yeah, you have to have more than 10,000 followers to do like the swipe ups, which I don't have. So that's okay. We're working on it. So what I do, instead of putting the link in the first comments now, if you're live, it's actually not that bad, because typically when you're live, people will engage with you at the beginning of the video. So you would drop a link after there have already been other comments. If it's a photo post or a text post, what I'll do is, here's where you can register, and then I'll enter that into the first comment, and then the second comment, I'll put the link. Now, I don't know if I'm outsmarting anything by doing that, but that's what I've been doing. Yeah, I always forget about Linktree. Michael's asking, if you do these videos live, should you keep a vlog YouTube channel to archive them? I totally would. I started doing that, and then it just got so time consuming to download the videos and upload them again that I didn't do it. But when I get a virtual assistant, that will be part of it. But people always want to know about YouTube versus Facebook. And let me give you just a little bit of feedback on that. So if you've been on my email list for a little while, can I send them to my Facebook group where links are? Yeah, totally. 100%, Calvin. I think you can hook up any link. Oh, what was I saying? Okay. So people will ask me, one of the things that I did, I don't do it consistently, but when I was doing my October challenge, I did a Facebook Live every day in October. And I knew not everyone was seeing my live content, and I was doing a lot of educational content. And I really wanted people on my email list to see that. And so what I would do is in my email at the beginning of the week or at the end of the week or whenever I was sending it out, I would I would say, these are the live videos I did this week. And I would write a little like half sentence or 1 sentence description of what the video was and link it to my Facebook Live video that I was referring to. And so a lot of people ask me, well, shouldn't I just upload it to YouTube and send them to YouTube? And my answer is no, for a few reasons. It's better to drive traffic to your Facebook page and your videos there where it can go more viral, where people can, when people comment on it and then you comment on it again, it recycles in the newsfeed. So literally, if you did a Facebook video or posted a photo 18 months ago and you went back and commented on it today, it would get recycled and people would see it as if it were new. Okay, so getting people to, and plus, it's increased engagement, it's increased video views, and that's just a better platform from my experience. So That is my feedback. But I absolutely think if you have a YouTube channel or if you want to grow a YouTube channel, yeah, why not repurpose your lives? To download a Facebook Live, by the way, you have to open it to full screen. You can't click on it from scrolling through your profile. You have to open the video to full screen, which is also where you would find the direct link to that video if you wanted to hyperlink anything in the email, like what I was just talking about. But when you open it to full screen, there are 3 dots that appear on the upper right-hand corner. They do appear from your timeline as well, but you will not have the option to download from there. You just click download now and you'll be able to download your live videos and do whatever you want with them, whether that's put them in a course or upload them to YouTube or whatever you want. Upload them to YouTube so you can embed them as a vlog or whatever. Plenty of options there. So do you want people to register for something? So a lot of the time with me, you'll see a registration call to action. So I ask people to register for a webinar. I ask people to register for a training, something like that. And it can be requesting a consult with you. That's a totally fine call to action. I do recommend not calling your consults a consult. Call it something a little bit more exciting. Most people don't want a consult anymore. Just a little bit of feedback for you. Okay, any questions about that? I just said a lot. I don't think so, because you guys have been good at posting questions. What would you call a consult? Yeah, so again, kind of think about your soulmate client. So I call mine breakthrough sessions. If you have more of like a pain-based business, I might call it like a diagnostic assessment or a diagnostic session. You could call it discovery session. You could call it strategy session. Lots of different opportunities. Good question. Does it matter which call to action goes with certain posts? Well, it needs to make sense. Tasha calls hers a game plan call. I love that. Yeah. It needs to make sense, right? Like, so the gratitude one, it makes sense just to ask people to engage with you, right? Let's say I was doing the 5-minute client interview and I'm talking to somebody who's gotten amazing results. My call to action would probably be, if you want to, if you want to have results like so-and-so, click here. And that click here may be a call to action for a consult. It may be, let's say you have a 21-day challenge that you're getting ready to launch. Let's say you have a trial offer. It's whatever you want to drive people to that makes the most sense. So typically you're not going to have like multiple offers going out. So if it makes sense just for engagement, that's fine. But if it makes sense to drive people to something immediately that you've got on the table, then do that as well. It could be a workshop, it could be a lot of different things. Julie says, mine's a strategy session, but sounds more clinical, so need to change it. I actually like strategy session. I like the game plan session too. You can use the thesaurus for strategy, Julie, if you don't like that, but I actually like strategy session. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. So some tips for increased engagement. So I said probably all of these at some point, but I want to make sure that you're clear. Make sure your posts are public. Some of your, call to action free, download your ebook. Yes, whatever you want them to do is what the call to action is. Yeah. And Jose, in the course, I kind of talk a little bit more about that as well. So you'll get even more details on calls to action. So make sure your posts are public. If you don't know how to switch from friend setting to public, when you go to make a post right under your name, if you're on a friend setting, it'll say friends and it'll look like 2 little shadow figures next to each other. If you're on public, it'll typically say public, but it'll also have like a little globe shadow. So you want to make sure that these are public, and you can go back and forth too. So, right, like if you have pictures of your kids that you don't want to be public, you can switch each post back and forth. That's not a big deal. When it feels appropriate, tag clients, friends, and family. Okay, so the more people you can tag, and I mean, don't be obnoxious about it, right? Like, don't tag the same people all the time unless they're like, I love when you tag me in posts, whatever. You should know intuitively what feels right around that, but tag your friends, family, particularly your clients, because that just increases your reach significantly, very significantly. It increases your reach because more people are going to see it. In terms of like the people who are tagged, they're actually alerted that they're tagged in a post. It makes them more likely to engage. And when it's public, their friends are going to see it, right? Check into your business. I talked about that so people know who you are, where you're coming from. And if it's a video, post a curiosity-based description. So don't tell them what's in the video. Don't say, in this video, I'm telling you I'm going to talk about these 3 things. Just something that is making them curious. So like if you look at the video I did last night, I was sharing with people that I'm going to live in South America for the winter, but I didn't say I'm telling everyone about my trip to South America for the winter. I said I have a major, like something like I have a huge personal announcement or big life change coming up. I don't remember, something like that. And I got a lot of people watching both live and in the replay. So have it be curiosity based, right? To where people want to know more. Let me see. No, you can share from the business page to your personal page, but that doesn't really work as well. Like if you notice, if you share anything, like if you share a post or something like that, even if it's to your personal page, you just don't get as much reach. So I would want to go live or do your posts on your personal page and then share to the business page, or you can just copy and paste to both if it's a text post. Either way, what I actually do, yes, you can go live from your business page. What I actually do is I post on, if it's like a text and a photo post, I post it on Facebook, and then my Instagram account is linked to my business page, so it posts there automatically. Post on your personal profile and share to your business page in any relevant groups. I think groups are very underutilized. So if you have a, group for, let's say like a community group where you nurture prospects, maybe some clients are in there, that kind of thing, you can always share in there. If you're a member of like, I don't know, make sure it's not someone else's business group that they are running. But you can absolutely, let's say there's like a local community group, right? Like here in Asheville where I live, we have a ton of community groups, and you could share content in there. You just have to be really conscious and make sure you read the rules of any group before you do that. But groups are an awesome place to share. So you can use a live from a business page to set up before. Yep. Same. It works exactly the same as from your personal page. Yep. Okay. So when and where to post, you got to show up every day. I mean, I miss a day every now and then, right? It will happen, but you have to show up, because how you show up in this is how people will perceive you show up everywhere. Okay. So share your more compelling posts with your email list as well in text or video. So let me just talk about that for a second. So my truth posts and things like that, you will almost always also see in email format. Okay. And then if I do a live video where it's like really educational or like how to, or I'm like, that was awesome. Sometimes I'll take a screenshot of that live video and embed the URL to the video, like on my Facebook page, and send that in an email. Say, in this video, I talked about X, Y, and Z, check it out. So you can do that, and you'll know which ones to share to your email list. Send a live video recap. That's what I was talking about, where you're sending out like, this week I did all of these videos, or every other week. Here's a link, here's what the video was, and it has a hyperlink to watch that video. Now I'm going to give everyone this goal is to aim for a minimum of 2 live videos per week, and consider when your soulmate client is most likely to be online. If you're going live at 11 a.m. and your soulmate client is working all day, yes, most people catch you in the replay, but you're going to get buried a little bit. So really try to go live when your soulmate client is online. However, let me caveat that and say, as I was doing my 30 days of Facebook Live challenge, I was surprised by some things. There were some, I was not going to commit to like an 8 or 9 p.m. time slot, which is what I normally do every single day for 31 days. That was just not going to happen. So I would go live some, in the evenings when I could. Sometimes it was really late. If I did it really late, I did not get as much viewership. But then there were times I'd go live at like 5 on a Friday or 11 on a Thursday, and I got a lot of viewership. So not a whole lot of rhyme or reason, but do consider when your soulmate client is most likely to be online when you go live. I think we're almost done here. Consistency is everything. I cannot emphasize that enough. You have to show up, and you have to show up every day in some way, okay? And you can repeat this pattern that I just taught you monthly if you like these topics, or you can come up with your own topics and just fill in like 4 different things about it. Maybe you have like 4 pillars of your business, things that you teach. Maybe it's nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress, right? And you break apart each of those into different topics. What 5 things do you want people to know about exercise? What 5 things do you want people to know about sleep? Like, I mean, you can really break things apart and create content. Like, your life is content. You've got stories, you've got experiences that you're learning every single day. So part of my live video last night, where I was talking about going to South America for the winter, was I hadn't lifted weights in 2 weeks. And I talked about, how I thought I was going to feel versus the fact that I thought I was going to feel horrible. And I actually felt amazing. And it was a good lesson for me. Your life is content. There is never a time where you shouldn't have something to say if you really get in the habit of doing this, okay? So what to do next? You have got to execute. You got to start Monday. Okay. So I realize all your posts aren't written and things like that, but now you know what you're going to say going forward. If anyone has had a particular struggle, I know a lot of my current marketing intensive and mastermind clients are already on here. But if you've had a struggle with your digital marketing, with marketing in general, because we do take things online and offline, and you want to have a conversation about this, and you haven't worked with me before, I would love for you to have that conversation with me. So I'm just going to drop a link in the chat if you want to have a 60-minute breakthrough session with me. Anyone who's been on a call with me knows I'm extremely low pressure. I always try to give value to people. So if this is an area that you need a little bit of support on, I can certainly help. And essentially, I teach a lot of things when I work with my clients, but I essentially took the process that it took me to grow Authentic Conversion from literally didn't exist a year ago to now a multi-6-figure business in under a year. And that is what I teach. And a lot of this stuff is good for brick and mortar. It's good for online. I am working with a lot of people who are brick and mortar who want to have an online stream to their business, or eventually shift entirely to moving online because they want more of that time and location freedom. And by the way, you guys, I share a lot of, and this is for you too with your posts, I share a lot of behind the scenes with my business because I think it's really important. Because a lot of the clients that I work with want more time freedom. They want to earn more money. They want more location freedom. And one of the things that helped me when I opened my boot camp be successful so quickly was seeing what was possible for other people and starting to believe that I could do it too. And I think it's really important. And my hope is that it never comes across as bragging or look at me or anything like that. And it shouldn't for you either. But when you're transparent like that, I'm not saying you're going to share your business numbers or anything because that's not your market, but when you're transparent about yourself and your struggles and your philosophy and your successes, it really makes you relatable and it makes you a role model to the people that you are working with, to the people that you try to attract. And so I really want to encourage you to not hold back. And I don't share my bank statements with people or anything like that, but I am very transparent because I want people to see and believe what's possible, because that is why it's the mentorship that I received that I'm in the position that I'm in. And that's why I really believe in bringing that full circle. So whether it's sharing your own accomplishments, like I've seen fit pros who got out of shape, that happened to me when I first got into personal training. And, they talk about their own weight loss and their own revelations, their own meal prepper, whatever. Be transparent. I love you guys. Thank you, Mary. She says it's been a game changer in momentum. Calvin. I told you guys, Calvin's the class clown. He says, I don't know if you guys are reading the chat. He says, I wish I would have named my daughter Nicole. That's hilarious. Yes, Jose, that makes me so happy. I want to give so many virtual hugs. You guys are amazing. Okay. So I love you guys. Any questions? I'm just going to shut up because you can probably hear my voice starting to fade. Aw, big hugs, Caitlin, all you guys. I love it. Okay, you liked this. I've never done a training like this before. So open to your feedback or any questions that you have. Michelle, it would be the same conversation we've already had, but we will definitely shoot me a message. Tell me what you need. And I will oblige. I will help you. I'm so glad this was good. Oh, and Maurice, I'm going to send out the the slides. So, cool. I'm so pumped about you guys doing this. Yes, I'm going to send everyone the slides. Make sure you grab a call with me if you haven't had one already, or if we're not already working together. I know I've done a ton of breakthrough calls. Jose, we can definitely talk about that let's talk about that actually on the group calls next week. Because it would be the same process. So we don't need to have that. I know kind of where you're going already. So yes. Okay. I'm so happy. This was well received. Okay. Just putting all this, like the finishing touches on this last one. I was like, I hope they get what I'm saying here. So yeah, I'm super excited. And you guys, in 90 minutes with mostly me talking at you. Yes. And I'm going to send the recording, Sean. I'm so glad that you made it. You have built out or I guess it's 28 days, but 4 weeks worth of content to be used and repeat this cycle. So I hope that the fact that we got this done so quickly is also a really good lesson, that this does not have to be overwhelming and take tons of time. So you guys are the best. Thank you for putting in the work. And I am super excited because I'm Facebook friends with all of you to see what you guys start putting out there starting Monday. We're doing this. Okay. So, do I recommend making a marketing schedule if you need one? For sure. You kind of have one now, right? In terms of like actual content. But you can. I do inspired action. I am not a pre-planner. I will plan launches or like certain things if it's a big thing that needs to happen, like a webinar or like this training. But in terms of my day-to-day content, yes, Mackenzie, I can. In terms of the day-to-day content, I am not a pre-planner. I will just be totally obvious. But I know the reason I decided to do this is because I know most people need that. And sometimes I do. Sometimes, but mostly what I'll do, like when hey, Stephanie, I'm so glad you made it. Most of the time what I do is I talked about this a lot throughout the training. So hopefully you picked up on this. I listen a lot, like a lot. I listen to what people are saying. I listen to what they're asking on my group calls. I listen to what they're asking during coaching calls. I listen in Facebook groups, and I try to, like, it gives me a lot of content idea, but I also read a lot, and I listen to a lot of like trainings and YouTube and that kind of stuff. And I'll do posts about that also. But part of being good at content is being a really good listener and understanding what people need to hear. And I just want to say one other thing. And I've said this to some of you who are my clients, but I want to say it to everybody now and whoever's watching the recording, is that do not take for granted, because I know you do, as I have in the past, do not take for granted that you are an exceptional person. You are exceptional in the fact that, like, I always joke with my clients, I'm like, what does a normal person's news feed look like, right? So like me and you, our news feeds probably look like workouts and healthy food and like all kinds of that stuff. But I'm using air quotes, an average person is not going to have that. They're going to have dogs and kids and pictures of like weird things that people take pictures of the weirdest stuff. It's like not every photo on your phone has to go online, but like you are the exceptional person. You are that inspiring person in people's news feeds. You are that person that people think has it all together. I'm telling you, do not take for granted how exceptional you are as a person and how much impact you can really have. So that's what I wanted to say. Calvin's going to put it in his Trello. Trello is basically like it almost looks like a mind map. It's like an organization board, and Calvin loves his Trello, so you can look at that for sure. So I do better with like putting, literally when I think of topics, I'll put them in my calendar with a notification to remind me that I already thought of something to talk about for the day. So anyway, so again, don't take for granted that you are the exceptional, inspiring, motivational person in people's news feeds that they want to hear from. And when you show up in this way, particularly for those of you who haven't been, it is a game changer. I'm telling you, I have grown. I've shared this with my list. I did $50,000 in sales for my business in September. And that was because I showed up on social media. And for no other reason. It's like kind of crazy. So thank you to Mark Zuckerberg for giving us this platform, because it's really a game changer. So anyway, you guys are the best. I don't think anyone else has questions, but if you do, you know where to find me. For those of you who aren't in my Facebook group right now, I'm going to go ahead and add you just so that you can post questions, and yeah, you can get a little bit of extra support this month. And I am here for you guys. So if you need anything or you want feedback, just let me know. You're so welcome, John. I'm so glad that you were here. And yeah, happy Thanksgiving, you guys, if you're American. And I will look forward to catching up with all of you soon. Have a great Friday and great weekend, everyone.